There are lives that unfold quietly, and then there are lives that shout. Yuly Grosman's story is the latter, a journey that began with an escape from the Soviet Union and evolved into a symphony of survival, risk, and revelation. In his book, The Most Beautiful and Dangerous Business, Uncommon Lessons for Unstoppable Leadership, Yuly invites us to see that leadership isn't found in safety, but in the art of daring beautifully. Thank you so much, Yuly Grosman, for joining me here at AwareNow to share this space and to share your story. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure to be here and to answer your question. I hope it will be helpful.
I'm sure that it will be. Let's start this way. The fact that you've lived a life that defies borders, escaping the USSR, rebuilding in Israel, growing a business that spans continents. But before the danger, before the destiny, who were you, Yuly, as a child? What did the world feel like to that boy before he learned what it meant to fight, to build, and to lead? Who were you?
Wow, that's unprepared question. Okay, I will try my best. So imagine yourself 12 years old child growing in USSR. We have a joke about it that we don't have toys. The best toy is taking a piece of wood and sticking it to the floor with nails. But that's a joke. So moving from USSR to Israel after Gorbachev made announcement and the German wall broke down, there was a big fear because nobody knew for how long that border the iron was lifted, right? The steel iron. So my parents took opportunity and we ran to Israel. Nothing new about Israel. I maybe saw a movie or two. Landing in Israel, first time in my life I see yogurt. First time in my life I see things that I never saw in Russia. And escaping from Russia, where as a Jew we're supposed to fear anti-Semitism. I'm landing in Israel where 1990, where a lot of people like my parents, well-educated engineers, very smart professors, doctors, landing in any job, as happens in most of the countries with immigrants, repatriates. And what happens is that people in Israel trying to hire these repatriated families from Israel, one, because they asking for low pay, and secondly, because they well-educated and more advanced in certain ways. Not always, but in many cases. And of course, it's creates frustration, it's creates aggression within the Israeli families. And small kids, my age, exposed to all this saloon and home conversation between parents that imagine yourself, oh, your father lost job because the company hired a repatriant professor from Russia and he getting half pay. All this transformed very fast to the streets. And as a child, 12 years old, going to school, I was suffering from bullying. I remember Israeli kids used to hide in the bushes and throwing stones, eggs, tomatoes, potatoes. Not only on me, but it was very small community in 1990s. Later on, after 2 years, massive amount of repatriator came to Israel, and the things started changing slowly. But 1990, we were the only family in the city where we lived as repatriants back then, and it was quite painful. So this forced me to go to study martial arts. I started with Kung Fu, later on Karate, Krav Maga, but I was 12 when I started, and that was the first push. My first business I started when I was 14. I'm young serial entrepreneur.
Wow.
And I think that business back then generated most of the income that allowed my parents to buy apartment. Mm-hmm. So this is, and maybe to finalize that interesting story, I hope you like it. Imagine yourself celebrating bar mitzvah, which is 13 years old, in Jewish tradition, where my parents wearing a gas mask in isolated room because there was also war with Saddam Hussein. But not everything so bad. There was also amazing stories and amazing moments in my life. I worked since I was 12. It's given me a lot, and this is also chapters in my book that everything I learned, everything I achieved, it started back then. Resilience, how to communicate, how to open doors, how to talk to people, self-defense and security also started then.
So it's just still kind of blowing my mind. 14, you started your own business. What was this business that you started?
Well, selling paintings, door to door, flowers, bouquets, ready bouquets. This was my first introduction to the flower industry. I think it's also a small part of my book when I'm explaining about my knowledge in flowers back then when I was 13. Yes, so the first business was selling paintings door to door. We combined number of kids like me, same age, who needed money, who wanted to help parents. I could not run the business by myself because I was 14, so I shared the idea and all the business strategies with my parents, and here we go. This is where we start.
Wow, at such a young age. So your story, it's filled with moments of when survival wasn't a choice. It was, to your point, selling paintings and art. When you think about the hardest chapter, the one that nearly broke you, what did endurance look like in that moment?
What almost broke me down? There are many moments in my life that almost broke me down, but always find a way moving forward. But I think, well, now it's not a secret anymore because it's in my book. So I'm a disabled veteran of Israeli military, and after second surgery, I became addicted to painkillers for many years, and I find a way to understand that I addicted, that I have problem, and I find a way to finish it, to fight it, and to overcome it. And sport business was big part of it.
Yeah. Wow. So you've moved between worlds that seem to contradict each other. Training special forces, cultivating flowers. And yet in both, I imagine that there's this symmetry, right, of precision, patience, purpose. When did you first realize that beauty and danger weren't opposites, but partners maybe in the same sort of dance?
Complicating each other. Not competing, complicating. One is part of another. So let me just maybe to clarify, I don't know anything about how to grow flowers. If you ask me, Yuly, how should I grow my roses, tomorrow most likely they will die. Yeah, so what I did after military, I was working in security in Israel. It was second Intifada, Al-Aqsa. Besides the almost daily terrorist attacks in Israel, and I was working in centralized hospital security, a hospital where was at the middle of episodes, at the middle of all the episodes of terrorist attacks and threats. Besides that, the hospitals like in US, like I saw in Europe, and I also saw it in Africa, a lot of aggression. Patients, families, in many cases not happy, frustrated from attendancy from the healthcare people. And there's a lot of aggression. People used to fight almost every day. And at some point you realize that you cannot fight with aggression by aggression. And this is, I guess, where I started to understand that something else should happen. We call it stop violence without violence. So how you can communicate, how you can de-escalate aggression by understanding, I don't want to say opponent, to understand that person who is frustrated and aggressive verbally and physically. So later on, after working many years in security and all these things going on, I decided to finish. I need a break, and I went to an our field, which is flowers. There was a Russian Israeli company who was exporting flowers mostly from Israel. And at some point, I realized that we need new opportunities. This is how I founded a project in Kenya. Nobody used to do it before. All the flowers from Kenya used to go to Holland auction of Aalsmeer, and from there distributed around the world. What I did, I came to Kenya, I saw opportunity, and I created growers to the final markets, avoiding auction. So built logistics supply chain, reduced by 30% transportation cost. At some point, I was advising growers what to grow, not how. Don't ask me how. Advising growers what to grow, I could forecast fashion. So, for example, what lipstick women will wear in the next 5 years in Western and Eastern Europe. Based on that, which variety that not exists in the market yet, but just have a number as a trial, a grower should plant because there's a high potential it will go well. So this kind of indirect investment. At the same time, whatever we did, we expanded farms. It's also created indirect impact on Africa, for example, because when farm expanding, they're building roads, they're building villages, they're providing electricity to villages. So I have a very nice article that I posted on my website that impact is not always giving money to someone, investing in a company. There's another way how people can make impact. So back to your question between security and the flowers and the beauty, I use a rose, a stem of rose, in my talks, my keynote talk or in my workshop, how a stem of rose can de-escalate aggression, reduce stress, and shift attention. It can play two roles. It can bring you business opportunities. At the same time, it can mitigate frustration and build resilience among staff, among executives. Very helpful tool. I guess this is the best combination of how security can be used in that way. I can also use a stem for self-defense, by the way, stem of rose.
No, that's beautiful. So your book shares uncommon lessons born not from theory, but from a life lived at full tilt in risk and responsibility, in relentless pursuit. Of all the lessons, Yuly, that you've carried, which one still challenges you the most? The one you have to keep relearning no matter how far you've come?
Stay human being. Be real. Don't pretend who you are not. And keep fighting for what you believe. I guess these are the most important parts. And be creative. I guess that's the last part, because creativity today, it's what society needs. We get stuck with technologies, we get stuck with ChatGPTs, which is very helpful, at least in my case with my English. Every time I want to structure my thoughts, ChatGPT very helping me as someone who is not native English speaker. But besides that, I think today's society, many people rely too much on these things. So creativity is very important. Creativity and clear mindset, and I feel also field experience.
Well, I love that you have had so much diverse field experience that you've used in so many different ways. And here it is now to empower others, to empower leaders to lead better. There's one other question I have for you today. I want to talk about the title itself, the most beautiful and dangerous business. It feels like a reflection of life and leadership. In your experience, what makes a leader truly unstoppable? Is it fearlessness in the face of danger, or courage to lead beautifully with heart, humanity, humility? What is it? What What is that thing?
I think it's the way people, leaders, can manage situations. I'm also bodyguard instructor, and in bodyguards, we always think how to prevent, because dealing with situations like risk assessment. Some people call it business continuity management. Some people call it risk assessment, which is part of business continuity management. So in top security bodyguard always think looking for the risk and trying to find a way to mitigate or avoid risk as much as possible. So I think for leaders, and unfortunately I saw it in many cases. I was also advising to startups in different parts of the world. In many cases, leaders sitting in the offices and the rooms, and they giving tasks and authorities to managers to do the work. I think that leaders should be also on the ground. Leaders should be in the packing room to try and see and feel by himself the processes. Leaders should be in the farm to go and see how actually oranges, potatoes, or anything harvested, how you hold it, how machinery can be adjusted to it, how technology can be adjusted to it. Leaders should be also, and you can choose in any field, right? But if you don't know how the process works, field experience, you can only rely on opinions that's brought to your office, and in many cases, this opinion was changed as it's going up to your office, right? But again, having field experience is giving you critical thinking and making you give you opportunities to make better decisions.
That's great advice. Well, thank you so much. I feel like there's so many layers and chapters of you yet to explore, and those are things we can find about in your book, yeah?
Absolutely. And also one part of my book, a chapter, it's how I met my wife. So I'll give you a quick story. Yes, I can see how you get excited about it. Amazing. So imagine this. Nairobi, amazing weather, amazing nature. You live in your building. You have huge dog. You have family, your own family. I'm talking about dog, which is when he's standing, it's higher than me, and I am 6.1. You're walking on the street, and then 3 blocks away from you, there's a woman that you didn't met yet. And because expat community was back then so tight, there's a high chance you walking can see each other, but you don't. 5 years later, that woman taking a picture of your poster where you're training civilians, Krav Maga, and self-defense, yet you're still married, you still have your family, and she never called you. 2 years after, as you're going back to security and you're doing security assessment test for big complex, you're giving advices how the security should be improved. But unfortunately, someone not taking that in consideration and not using these advices. Finally, 2 years later, in January 2019, there's a terrorist attack in that place, in this complex. And big number of people killed there, losing their lives. One of them is American Jew. It was all over the news. And that person is my future wife business partner. He lost his life in a place where security could be improved. My wife flying to Kenya to organize everything to meet the staff, because all the staff was in the offices involved in the attack, and she making decision that she need training, security training for her and for staff. So 7 years before, you live on the same street you never met. 5 years later, she took a picture of your poster she never called. 2 years later, you the attack could be prevented, but it was not. And an attack happens, and you meet that person in the right time, in the right place, under tragic circumstances, and the right time because you already lost your family. That's the story of our love. And we have a great child, great son that was born in Kenya, and he is growing in love and happiness.
Wow, that is quite a story of the beginning of the two of you. Yeah, it's interesting how the timing of the universe works, yeah?
I usually think that things happen in the right time, in the right place.
Thank you so much, Yuly, for taking this time to share your story, to share a bit about you. I'm excited to get your book, to read it, to come to understand you more, and the lessons, the uncommon lessons that you have to share there. So thank you so much. Thank you for helping all of us become a bit more aware now. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.